Before I begin, I would like to conduct a small activity with all of you. I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale till the count of 5 and exhale till the count of 10. We'll start. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now exhale 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now slowly shift back your mind to the times of your childhood. What is the earliest memory of your childhood? Can you think of the times where you smiled and laughed and shared all your precious moments with your parents? Or can you think of the joy and excitement of making your first friend or sharing all your feelings and secrets in a diary? Or can you think of the time where you made a sneaky phone call to your boyfriend or a girlfriend? How did the walk down memory lane feel? What I will talk about now is a grave reality. Unfortunately, many of the children and young adults cannot resonate or relate to the same experiences as we can relate to it. Their sense of freedom, curiosity, and joy have been taken away from them and are being replaced by absolute sense of fear and mistrust. Fear of talking to adults, fear of making new friends, fear of reliving the nightmares that keep playing in their mind. Sexual abuse is avoidable and yet an widely seen reality that most of the kids are experiencing. What is more surprising is that 95% of the sexual offenders are the someone that the kid knows. It could be absolutely anybody. It could be parents, grandparents, relatives, teachers, siblings, and even friends. The gravity of the today's situation is that no myth or societal notion on gender differences stand valid in front of the shocking statistics of child sexual abuse. No gender is immune, be it boy child or a girl child. No gender is experiencing more or less than the other. Sexual offenders do not consider gender as a factor at all. Most of the cases go unreported because of the fear of societal judgment, because of the familial pressure that they have, or because of the lack of resources to seek for help and support, and because of the financial dependence on the abuser itself. How sad it is. There is a survey conducted in 2007 by Women and Child Development Ministry, which stated that 1 in 5 children are being sexually abused on a daily basis. Out of 100, 53 are boys and 47 are girls. According to NCB, that is National Crime Bureau, they stated that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are being abused daily. And surprisingly, the demographics doesn't matter at all because most occurrences happen in cities than elsewhere. These are just the reported cases. Just imagine the number of cases that go unreported. Now, India is home to 400 million children. Do the math and just imagine the enormity of the problem. And I acknowledge by the figures that must mean that some of you who are sitting and listening right now must have experienced it. I am really, really sorry that you have experienced it. The sadistic pleasure that an offender seeks in committing this offense and violating the child's personal privacy drives them to do such a heinous act. The psychological and social impacts or distress that a child carries through is just phenomenal. An ideal day in life of a survivor begins with an absolute uncertainty. But they're transparent on one single thought. Do not trust this person because If my own parents or grandparents or teachers or siblings can abuse me and molest me, how do I know that the person in front of me will not do the same to me? The sense of reality in this child is so distorted that it leads to an immense psychological distress resulting in anxiousness, depression, panic disorder, adjustment issues, dissociation from reality, PTSD, and the list goes on and on and on. This comes with a sense of grief that stays for years together because the whole idea of grief is that its existence doesn't have a timeline. It comes and goes in waves. It comes with a trigger or appears with apparently no motivation at all. It comes with its two best friends, shame and guilt. Shame has way more companions like self doubt, underconfidence, and low self esteem. Most of the children who experience child sexual abuse before they are 18 often find themselves with lack of words. They face difficulties in expressing what they are experiencing because they cannot comprehend the gravity of the situation. When these traumatic incidences surface up in their day-to-day life, you can find them expressing by crying, by screaming, and by shouting words like, "No, stop!" or just zoning out and feeling nothing but numbness. At the cost of sounding passive aggressive, I am confident that most of the experiences that a sexual abuser go through are my own too. Until 11, my life was completely filled with wonderment and joy. I was overperforming in school and I was gaining confidence in Kuchipudi. I was loved by my parents and family. Unfortunately, it all came crashing down when I was 11 and a half to 12 years old. It all started by a stranger who decided out of nowhere to touch me inappropriately on the road. The confusion and chaos just overwhelmed my mind, and I found a safe space in my washroom where not a sense of guilt or shame or anxiety can enter. But my neighbor had a different plans. He decided to record me secretly while I was showering. I found an escape in my Kuchipudi classes where not a single intrusive thought can enter, where I can worship and honor my guru and me. But my guru's father decided to violate my personal privacy by shoving fingers in me. I tried to find solace in my relative's place in my +1 and +2, but my uncle, he had a whole different script written for me. Until today, he left me with one question. Actually, two questions. What had he done to me? Does it amount to rape? Tired of running and escaping, I decided to give dance one more chance. But my makeup artist decided to shove makeup brushes down there to satisfy his deviant sexual pleasure. By the age of 21, I was diagnosed with PTSD, that is post-traumatic stress disorder, borderline personality disorder, clinical depression, and generalized anxiety disorder. I realized and I was aware that my childhood was taken away from me. But I kept on going. I rose like a phoenix from the mental and the social agony. Hope did not leave me at all. With the same hope, I started reaching out to schools, colleges, universities, and orphanages to create more awareness about child sexual abuse. Breaking the silence, empowering an adult to protect the matrix of a children from child sexual abuse. Now, here matrix refers to the internal and external factors of a whole overall well-being of a child, which includes their values, their beliefs, the relationships that they have, and the environment that they are in. It refers to the world that is encompassing the children, including their family, their friends, the society, the community where they are supposed to feel safe and protected. It represents the physical, the social, and the psychological aspects of a child, including their self image and the sense of safety, which is the most important thing ever. Now, keeping all of this in mind, how often do we just question or comment on the child who approaches us with an unsafe touch incident by, what are you wearing? Look at the skin. This is bound to happen to you. Why did you go there? Did I ask you to go there? I said you to not go there. Why did you go there? Isn't it a sad reality? Now, I started my own NPO to fight for the rights of the children who are the survivors of child sexual abuse, to promote awareness on identifying signs of child sexual abuse where no one talked to us about, and to prevent child sexual abuse. I ensure that I empower adults with knowledge because an empowered adult is a bit more crucial and important than an empowered child. While I was conducting workshops in school and other establishments, I was asked, Sahithi, why should I care about it? The truth of this situation is that most of us, we don't care about it unless and until it affects us or someone that we know in a negative way. But receiving obscene messages in social media or getting touched inappropriately is sadly the reality of almost every kid under 18 years old. The social and psychological distress that they carry through their adulthood, it completely impacts the outlook towards life, towards potential partners, towards job prospects, and towards higher education and whatnot. Through tolerance, through ignorance, through not speaking up, or through just brushing it under the carpet, and through not reporting, we somehow tend to encourage the abusers. The abuser does not act on the impulse on a first go. They are the masters of manipulation. First, they groom the child to an extent where they believe that the step that they are going to take will not cause them any more trouble. They first fill the needs of a child and then they isolate the child from the primary safety network that they have. What can be the needs of a child? It can be social needs, it can be materialistic needs, it can be financial needs, it can be emotional needs, and whatnot. Every kid is vulnerable. It is very important to remember that. We need adults to identify these grooming signs and to take steps towards stopping it even before the act of child sexual abuse happens. We all know that pyramid scheme is a very fraudulent pitch that completely relies on, unrealistic returns based on an imaginary investment, right? But a pyramid scheme of spreading the word and creating awareness towards child sexual abuse will absolutely be a hit. Why, you ask me? Let's say once the parents, the teachers, the principals, or any single adult that are in the primary network of a child are armed with this knowledge of grooming signs, they can obviously protect the child and share it with other adults. And pretty soon we have a whole community which is empowered with the knowledge. While I was conducting an online workshop, I was asked by a participant, Sahithi, I just want to ask you one question. Would you ever swap your life with someone else's life? Such a funny question, and yet an important question, because when I looked back at the journey of impacting 10,000 kids and 15,000 adults, and still continuing my work to see India as an abuse free country, I would do it again and again and again, no matter the sweat, the blood, or the traumatic incidences that have gone into it. I believe the most inhuman thing that can ever happen to a child is someone abusing them sexually. It is intolerable that an adult has to live their whole lifetime with the impacts of it. The only way that I see to honor or support survivors is by taking steps towards stopping the abuse in general. I would like to conclude this talk by requesting you and pleading you all to be more aware of these grooming signs, to create awareness about child sexual abuse, and to talk more about it. We can start by educating ourselves first, and then we can educate our friends, and then family members, or even people at workplaces. Unfortunately, most of the abusers are walking among us. I know it is going to be a long fight, and it requires every single person sitting here in this room and sitting outside of the room to show a lot of courage and strength, because we are in it for a very long haul. It might take years or generations. But you know what is important? It is important that we stay consistent and we do every single thing that we can do to protect the child from being abused. I ask you to read and learn and see what you can do in your own community to prevent or to keep every single child safe. You know, all the 400 million of them. Remember, abuse-free society is a basic right to ask for and is not a privilege. Thank you so much.